Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. So the question is, who should you defeat in the final analysis? And the answer is, you should defeat your former self. You should be constantly trying to do that. And you're the right control for yourself too, because you're the one who's had all your advantages and disadvantages. And so if you want to compete fairly with someone, then you should be competing with you.
Nietzsche said, "I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and impossible." The fact that something seems impossible shouldn't be a reason to not pursue it. That's exactly what makes it worth pursuing. Where would the courage and greatness be if success was certain and there was no risk? The only true failure is shrinking away from life's challenges.
Hey, welcome everyone to episode number 209 of the State of Fitness. Looks like my mic is working. Today is May 8th, 2024. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're doing well. As I always say, if this is your first time joining me, let me introduce myself. I'm David Greenwalt. I'm the founder of Leanness Lifestyle University. For 25 years now and counting, we've been helping our clients get to and live at the healthy weight they choose in the body and with the fitness they desire so they can live their best life. For first timers, if this is your first State of Fitness with me, I discuss anything weight management, anything health, anything fitness oriented, anything that's top of mind for the week with you in mind. Okay, so this State of Fitness is my 209th since February 5th of 2020. So let's see what some of our top students are doing this week and we'll take it from there. Okay, good, showed up. All right, in the last 6 weeks, this is pounds lost. These are some top students that kind of cut it off at kind of right at that 9-pound mark. And all of these students have lost that and more. So congratulations to all the students on this list. The top 5 for pounds lost this week are Therese at 13.7 pounds gone in the last 6 weeks, Jessica at 13.9, Paulette at 17.4, Brian at 24.6, and Rob at 28.6 pounds gone. Way to go, everybody. For percent of, it says pounds, but it's not. It's percent of weight lost in the last 6 weeks. Cut it off at 4% for this one. So everyone here has lost 4% or more of their weight as of 6 weeks ago. And the top 5 students here are Marty and Paulette at 6.2%, Matt at 6.5%, and Deb at 6.5%, Brian at 10%, and Rob V at 10.3%. Way to go, guys. Way to go, everybody on this list for doing such a great job in the past 6 weeks. Let's see. Let's see. What do I want to do? All right. I want to talk about a couple of students that submitted a couple of milestones. This is a big week. Believe it or not, it just is. I've looked at some things kind of behind the scenes. I'm going to share a bunch of those. It's going to take me a minute to get through some of these attaboys and attagirls that you guys have accomplished this week. But a couple of students submitted some milestones. You can submit a milestone on campus through the motivation tab. And so Nikki P, last name begins with P, Nikki P submitted 2. She had 2 things that are really cool for her in the last week or so. And one is she was shopping and she is really embracing letting go of the plus size that she came to us in. That feeling and being a plus size, not just feeling, but being a plus size, letting go of that self-image, letting go of the plus size label. She's found that she's a true medium now, not a vanity medium, not a shirt that really should be a large or extra large. It's a true medium. She's, no matter what she puts on, she's in a medium for a shirt. So that's just outstanding. And the other one that she submitted, I'm going to read this one to you. Probably just a lot better than me trying to kind of paraphrase what it was. But she says she's been taking an adult musical theater dance class for several weeks now. She says, I've gotten comfortable with looking at myself in the mirrors in the studio. I don't feel self-conscious and I'm having a hell of a good time. As a theater performer, dance was always my weakest link, and it's been amazing to learn new skills and build new muscles. I love the confidence and fitness LLU has given me. Nikki has lost 55 pounds with us, and she's 448 days now into maintenance. So let's give her a round of applause in all regards, but so amazing. Nikki, I really am. I'm thrilled with your new confidence. I'm proud of you for overcoming this weakest link, your weakest link in dance, building new skills, embracing new challenges, and just feeling such enthusiasm for it. It just makes me smile. So way to go on all counts there, Nikki. So proud of you. Next, let's give a round of applause to another student who submitted a milestone, Brian M. Brian wrote, may not seem like much, but at one point I was 200 pounds and in fairly good shape. After a misdiagnosed back injury and 15 months later, I had gained enough weight to be 252 pounds. Fast forward to one back surgery and being released to get back in the gym and on a meal plan. I quickly began. I had no motivation to get my rear in gear. A friend of mine introduced me to Coach Greenwalt, and I made the choice. I hit 222.6 pounds today, which is halfway to my previous weight. My new goal, though, is 185, not 200. So I want to say to Brian, way to go for, by the way, it's not a small feat going from 252 to 222, which is where you are now. That's no small feat at all. It's awesome. Not by a long shot, especially after overcoming, a back injury and surgery. And I love that you're going past that 200 where you felt good at one time and you get that new lifetime goal at 190 or 185. Keep your eye on the prize. Really, I mean it. Keep your eye on the prize. Follow the plan. Stick to it. You're going to go all the way, no question, if you do. Okay? Well done, brother, so far. Keep it up. And Brian's only been with us for a short time, so way to go, way to go. So bear with me a second here. I ran through a report and was really looking at what are some of the stuff that you guys might not hear me talk about much or hear me highlight, but that are going on. You know that with LLU, you've been with me a while, that with LLU, everybody starts as a freshman undergraduate, right? And you're a freshman undergraduate until you've lost 25% of all the weight you want to lose. You're a sophomore until you've lost 50%, a junior until you've lost 75%, you're a senior undergrad until you've lost all the weight you want to lose. Once you've lost all the weight you want to lose, you transfer to what we call a master's candidate because you're in maintenance. And a master's candidate, the goal there is to hold within 10 pounds of your lifetime goal weight for 2 consecutive years. Once you've done that, you graduate to PhD candidate, which the goal there is to hold your weight within 10 pounds, of your lifetime for another 2 consecutive years, 4 consecutive years all in. One of the reasons we progress like that is that progression goes really well with the real world. And in my 30 years of doing this, what I have found in the real world is, and it matches quite well with the master's candidate, with the whole thing, progression all the way up through your bachelor's, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, master's candidate 2 consecutive years, PhD candidate 2 more consecutive years, at which time you will have earned your full-fledged PhD. So the reason that we do that is because in again, 30 years of doing this, working with people in the trenches every day, I have found that it matches even what the research says, which is this. People who hold their maintenance weight, once you get to maintenance, people who hold that weight for 2 consecutive years have about a 60% chance of keeping it off for good. 60% after 2 consecutive years, once you've gotten to maintenance. Once you hold that maintenance weight for 4 consecutive years, you've got about an 80% chance of keeping it off. As I always say, it might surprise you to hear those numbers. But as I always say, you are guaranteed to keep it off when you take your last breath. It really is like that. So that's one of the reasons that we want to always maintain the kind of the hierarchy of respectful fear, good, confidence matched with humility, good, arrogance, cockiness, very bad. Doesn't go well. I see it over and over and over again. Okay, but that's the progression. Freshman all the way up through PhD. So as I go through some of these highlights, just talking to you here, I've got a whole list in front of me. As I talk to you here, just keep that in mind when you hear where people are with respect to freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, master's candidate, PhD, and so forth. All right, so here we go. It's going to take a bit, so hang with me. There's just some really cool stuff going on. And this is within the last week, okay? Within the last week. Amanda D, I'm going to just keep the last names out, but Amanda D is at a season low, and she's at her lowest weight in the past 90 days. Brian M's getting closer to advancing to junior, which means he's getting close to that 50% of all the weight he wants to lose. He's getting closer. That means getting closer means he's within about 10 pounds of that. Carol J is a master's candidate, which means she is in maintenance. She's a master's candidate. She's in that 2-year journey, and she is beyond 90 days now as a master's candidate. Catherine G has less than 5 pounds to go until she's a sophomore, which means she will have lost 25% of all the weight she wants to lose. She's 5 pounds away from being a sophomore. Chris M is at the lowest weight in 90 days. Colleen V is at her lowest weight ever at LLU. Cynthia C is at the lowest weight she's been at in 90 days. Deanna H is closing in on master's candidate level, which means that she's less than 10 pounds away from her lifetime goal. Deanna is, way to go. Deanne C is closing in on her master's candidate level. She's less than 10 pounds away from getting to her lifetime goal. Deb L is getting closer to advancing to senior. And at senior, once you enter senior, you've lost 75% of all the weight you want to lose. Remember, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. She's within 10 pounds of that. Erin G, check this out, has achieved her 13th 5-week goal. Because all the goals that I set for you or you set for yourself, they're always 5 weeks. Erin G has achieved her 13th 5-week goal. She's also at the lowest weight she's been at in 90 days. Way to go, Erin. Eve is getting closer to advancing to junior, which is 50% of all the weight she wants to lose. That means that she's within 10 pounds of that. Jan C has achieved her 15th 5-week goal. Her 15th. She's at the lowest weight she's been at in 90 days. Jennifer N is closing in on her master's candidate level. She's less than 10 pounds away. Jessica R achieved her 11th 5-week goal. Joyce B achieved her 7th 5-week goal. Julie A is getting closer to advancing to sophomore, and she's less than 5 pounds. Now she's less than 5 pounds to go until she's a sophomore, so she's really getting close. Carrie S is more than 60 days now as a master's candidate, which means she's been at lifetime goal for more than 60 days. Kristen S is at a season low, the lowest weight she's been at in the past 90 days. Lance L has achieved his 2nd 5-week goal. Lance is a newer student, way to go. Lena D is getting closer to advancing to her bachelor's in lifestyle transformation, which means she's already a senior and she's less than 10 pounds away from achieving her bachelor's, at which time she'll transfer to master's candidate. Lori G is at the lowest weight she's been at in the past 90 days. Lynn H, the lowest weight she's been at in the past 90 days. She's got less than 5 pounds to go. Lynn, you got less than 5 pounds to go until you're a junior, okay? Less than 5 pounds. Melinda, less than 5 pounds to go until you're a sophomore. Way to go. Mark M, you're closing in on the master's candidate level. He's got less than 10 pounds to go. You got less than 10 pounds to go until you're a master's candidate. Marty, less than 5 pounds to get to her bachelor's, which means she'll be at her lifetime goal. Less than 5 pounds until you've earned your bachelor's. Matt M, you're closing in on the master's candidate level again. You're not again, but closing in on master's candidate. You got less than 10 pounds to go until you're there. Michelle, less than 5 pounds to go until you're a junior. Mike S is at his lowest weight in 90 days. Paulette, lowest weight in 90 days. Renee L achieved her 10th 5-week goal. Rob, his 6th 5-week goal. Roberta, her 12th 5-week goal. Shannon, less than 5 pounds to go until she's a junior. Less than 5. Sharon G, her 16th 5-week goal was achieved. Shabana, her 6th 5-week goal. Sandra, her 3rd 5-week goal. Stephanie B, getting closer to advancing to sophomore. She's less than 10 pounds away to advancing to sophomore. Susan L, less than 5 pounds to go until she earns her bachelor's in lifestyle transformation, which means she's at 100% of her goal weight. Susan S is less than 5 pounds to go until she's a senior. Susan B is closing in on her master's candidate level. Therese has achieved her 4th 5-week goal. Wendy D is a master's candidate now for more than 30 days. So way to go, everybody. I told you, what a list, right? Way to go. So fun to read, though, and just highlight everybody for those achievements. And I think it's so cool to see just how close so many of you are to that next level, whether it's going to sophomore, or whether it's going to master's, or whatever it may be. So cool to see that. All right, last one on student highlights. This is the maintainers list. This to me is what you're all here for. Lose it one more time for the last time. Everybody on this list has achieved their lifetime goal. Everyone on this list is at least a master's candidate. They've kept off the amount of weight you see in the weight loss column for the number of days you see in the days column. The students in green have kept their weight off for at least a year. The students in orange have kept their weight off for 2 years. And let me see, yeah, for at least 2 years, 730 days. But I highlighted Nettie down there because she just flipped into to PhD candidate. All the students in orange are PhD candidates because they have kept their weight off for 2 consecutive years. And the students in blue are full-fledged PhD graduates. PhDs in lifestyle transformation. So they've kept their weight off for at least 4 consecutive years. That's 1,460 days or more, folks. And everybody here is a current student. So way to go. Congratulations, Nettie, for becoming a PhD candidate, earning your full-fledged master's. Randall, you're right there. You're 26 days away from becoming a PhD candidate. And Renee, over there on the other side, you're 6 days away from starting your second year. For keeping it off. Yeah, for keeping it off for at least a year. So way to go, everyone. Very, very proud of you. Way to continue to inspire us all and show us that it really, really can be done. All right. All right, here we go. So a few weeks back, I ran across a video clip where the podcast host, Ed Mylett, and his guest, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, MD, they were discussing walking. Okay, you might have seen this. It's made the rounds if you're on social at all, but most of you probably haven't. So here we go. Have a listen.
Walking is great. Do not count that as exercise.
I'm so glad you said that. It is the strange. I don't know when that started.
I don't know either. And if we don't challenge the way,
I feel it's like the last 5 or 8 years. Like, so walking is exercise? What the hell is that?
This is activity of daily living.
Right, humans walk. Exactly. Like, that's not exercise. Exactly. Like, talk about the lowest possible standard. Like, I don't mean to offend anybody, but maybe if you haven't worked out in forever, start with a walk. But my gosh, you're not exercising. Right. Come to a gym with me and you'll see someone exercise, right?
Yeah.
right. It's not exercise. No, right. I don't mean to offend anybody, but if you haven't worked out in forever, start a walk. But you're not, come to a gym with me. I have some problems with what they said, as you can probably tell. I'm having a hard time keeping it together here. With their dialogue, I'm having some problems just overall, with the whole thing, making fun of it, laughing and talking about how stupid people are for considering walking exercise. On one hand, you've got a physician, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, is like a physician, MD, and we have Ed Mylett, who's a global speaker and author and podcast host, and in case you couldn't tell, I think they both need to go straight to jail, social media jail, for the dialogue. But why? First, straight to jail if you use the word like more than 3 times in 15 seconds. Most of us use it. I get it. It's a filler word. Come on. It always bothers, in all of that, the dialogue, it always bothers me more when otherwise smart people, they both are obviously, when otherwise smart people say dumb things, especially when those people have a huge platform with a massive megaphone, which they do. What a shame it is to use that platform to spread misinformation and, dare I say, even harmful information like they did here. Harmful? Harmful how? Shaming people who walk for daily exercise? Who walks for daily exercise? Raise your hand. No doubt discouraging some from doing it when they had just started, but might have seen the clip and thought, why bother? Can't even get credit for that. Doesn't count, doesn't matter. These two have millions of followers between them. They're influential, and their circle of influence is huge. Okay? What a shame. What a shame. There are 4 things that I want to tackle that I hope will turn this turd of a conversation they had into a teachable moment. What are activities of daily living? Dr. Lyon said that walking is just an activity of daily living. What is that? What is exercise? See if it is. What is exercise? Is walking exercise? And what good is walking, no matter what it is? Okay? So first, let's look at activities of daily living. According to the National Institutes of Health, activities of daily living are skills required to manage one's basic physical needs, including personal hygiene or grooming, dressing, toileting, transferring or ambulating, and eating. ADL is used as an indicator of a person's functional status. The inability to perform ADLs results in the dependence of other individuals and/or mechanical devices. The inability to accomplish essential activities of daily living may lead to unsafe conditions and poor quality of life. Measurement of an individual's ADL is important as these are predictors of admission to nursing homes, need for alternative living arrangements, hospitalization, and use of paid home care. The outcome of a treatment program can also be assessed by reviewing a patient's ADLs. In 2011, the United States National Health Interview Survey determined that 20.7% of adults aged 85 or older, 7% of those aged 75 to 84, and 3.4% of those aged 65 to 74 needed help with ADLs. All right, for every single person listening to me now or whenever you find this, the ADLs are or are going to become a key reason that you eat well, stay active, hopefully strength train, and strive to achieve a reasonably healthy weight. Aspirations like hiking up a mountain, fantastic. Let's go. Do it. I love it. But if we lose our ability to perform activities of daily living, we're going to need others for daily self-care. None of us wants that. And I can speak from 30 years of experience when I say many of you have in your whys some version of you never being a burden to others as you age, and or being able to take care of yourself until it's your time to go. Raise your hand if you want to be a burden to others and need others for daily self-care. Yeah, no one. Raise your hand if you want to live independently, going and doing as you please until the final moment of the final chapter. So Dr. Lyon, MD, no less, stated walking is an activity of daily living. That's all it is. It's an activity of daily living. Remaining ambulatory, walking, sure, it is. But she also said not to count it as exercise. Her opinion, got it, her opinion. In a profession, though, in a profession thought of just barely less than how many think of God. She's an MD. There's probably not a profession that is given the elevated status of respect that a medical doctor has. She's got a big following, big potential for influence. So, hey, if she's going to say something that could impact tens of thousands of listeners as a medical professional, she's got to be right, doesn't she? I mean, don't count walking as exercise. Medical doctor, millions of followers, she understands that she has that influence and that her words can influence people in that way with who she is and who she has the ability to influence because of her platform, right? Let's take a look. What is exercise? Well, according to the Oxford Language Dictionary, it's an activity requiring physical effort carried out to sustain or improve health and fitness. And according to Webster's Dictionary, it's bodily exertion for the sake of developing and maintaining physical fitness. So, when we go strictly by most definitions of exercise, not all physical activity is exercise. The intent, the purpose of the activity matters by definition. So we generally know what activities of daily living are now, okay? We know what exercise is. So I think we can say that walking is an activity of daily living and it can be exercise. Not all walking is exercise by the strict rule of the definition, but I'll say this, all walking is physical activity, and in nearly every instance, it's better than not walking. So when is walking exercise? Well, by definition, it's when it's done for developing or maintaining health and fitness. And now on to the fourth question I want to answer. What good is walking? Honestly, there's so much positive research out there on the benefits of walking for mental and emotional health, physical health, disease risk reduction, longevity. We'd literally be here a month if we wanted to go through all the research, published research that's out there, let alone, all of the just, empirical, and just by word of mouth statements, that are out there from the millions and millions of people who love doing it and benefit from it. So let's not spend all day, but let's go through some of the benefits or some of the benefits of exercise. All right, so first of all, walking is one of the most popular forms of exercise worldwide. It doesn't require expensive equipment or special skills, and it provides a wide range of health benefits, which I'm going to talk about. So whether you choose to do it outdoor, on a solitary path in nature, you're on a busy route with city sidewalks, you do it on a treadmill or a few rounds around your office building, walking is a relatively accessible way to stay active. It's really good for the cardiovascular system. It's cardiovascular physical activity, increases your heart rate, improves blood flow, and can lower blood pressure. It helps to boost energy levels by releasing certain hormones like endorphins and delivering oxygen through the body. Brisk walking is considered a moderate intensity, low impact workout that does not exert too much stress and strain on the joints, hips, knees, ankles, low back, that are all susceptible to injury with higher impact workouts. Okay? It's kind of my little prep warm up here as we go through the benefits. Many people think that walking is not as effective as higher impact workouts. Yet a large cohort study of runners and walkers found that after 6 years of follow-up, when expending an equal amount of energy, moderate intensity offered similar benefits as higher intensity running, moderate intensity walking that is, in reducing the risk of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes. The faster the walking pace, the greater the risk reduction observed. You're going to hear that theme kind of throughout this. The faster the walking pace, the greater the risk reduction observed. The 2018 Physical Activity Guidelines for Americans recommends that adults with chronic conditions do at least 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic physical activity weekly if able. Walking is an exercise that meets this aerobic component and is associated with improving high blood pressure and body mass index and lowering the risk of diabetes, stroke, and cardiovascular disease and early death. Walking speed, duration, and frequency can be adjusted depending on one's starting fitness level so that almost everyone can participate in walking as exercise. What about cardiovascular disease? Walking is often recommended to people with cardiovascular disease by their doctors because it is a relatively safe way for them to be more active. A meta-analysis of 32 randomized controlled trials found that walking increased aerobic capacity of the heart, lowered blood pressure, and reduced body mass index and body fat. What about diabetes? For diabetes, walking helps control blood glucose by using glucose for energy and improving insulin sensitivity. The longer and more intense the walking, the greater glucose control. However, even interrupting long periods of sitting with 3 to 5 minutes of light walking every 30 minutes can improve blood glucose control in overweight and obese individuals. The American Diabetes Association recommends a minimum of 150 minutes weekly of aerobic exercise, of moderate to vigorous exercise like brisk walking, spread over at least 3 days a week with no more than 2 consecutive days without activity. Here, totally agree with that, 1,000%. Further improvements in diabetes control are seen when adding 2 to 3 sessions weekly of resistance/strength training. Exercises on non-consecutive days using elastic, resistance bands, free weights, weight machines, or body weight exercises. Here to that, right? It's always a part of it. At least 2 strength sessions a week, non-consecutive days, for the purpose of improving strength in a way that is measurable. That's what's ideal, for the purpose of improving strength in a way that is measurable. What about walking and sleep? A walking intervention was conducted in 490 healthy adults, half of whom had been exercising regularly, and the other half who did not exercise. Both groups participated in the intervention of walking 10,000 steps for 4 weeks. That was daily. and used the self-reported sleep quality questionnaire. The study found that in the non-exercise group, significant improvements were reported in perceived sleep quality, sleep duration, and sleep latency, in other words, the time to fall asleep, for the now new walkers. About sleep and depression. Walking appears to have a positive impact on mental health, with the most evidence for depression. Some research also shows benefit for anxiety, stress, and loneliness. There may be positive effects on mental health related to the walking setting, such as in forests, parks, and other outdoor and natural environments. What about mortality, as in death? A meta-analysis of 196 prospective cohort studies involving more than 30 million adults looked at the effects of differing amounts of exercise on the risk of early death. They found that participants who reported meeting minimum exercise guidelines of 150 minutes weekly of moderate intensity exercise had a 31% lower risk of dying early compared with those who did not exercise at all. But even those who exercised half that amount at 75 minutes weekly benefited with a 23% lower risk of death. This translates, by the way, to 11 minutes daily of a brisk walk, dancing to 3 favorite high-energy songs, or parking in the furthest spot from a building and taking a roundabout path to the entrance. Part of the reason for greater longevity was a decreased risk of chronic diseases like heart disease and certain cancers. The authors noted that if everyone met half the recommended exercise guidelines, 1 in 10 premature deaths would be prevented. Let's take a note on walking pace a second. What about walking pace? Well, moderate intensity activity is defined, just any activity that's moderate intensity is defined as activities that expend 3 to 6-fold the energy expenditure of sitting at rest. So in sciencey, exercise science terms, it's 3 to 6 metabolic equivalents, also referred to as METs, 3 to 6 METs. So 3 to 6 METs means that you are expending 3 to 6-fold the energy compared to sitting at rest. That's moderate intensity, 3 to 6-fold. Those that expend more than the 6, that's more vigorous. Those that expend less than the 3, that's considered light. For walking, that can vary on an individual basis, right? The more in shape you are, the faster you're going to have to walk for it to be moderate. And the more deconditioned and out of shape you are, you might find that a 2.5 miles per hour walk is moderate. Generally, 3 to 4 miles per hour for walking is considered a moderate intensity walking pace. 3 to 4 generally. Could be 3.2 to 4.2, could be 3.5 to 4.5. Generally speaking, 3 to 4 is considered a moderate intensity walking pace. A growing body of research has shown that the faster the walking pace, the greater the health benefits. A physician's health study found that participants who walked regularly had a reduced risk of cardiovascular disease and early death from cardiovascular disease compared with those who didn't walk regularly. The greatest benefits were in those who walked 3 miles per hour or faster, means a brisk or very brisk pace. But those walking 2 to 2.9 miles per hour, a normal pace, also saw a protective benefit compared with those not walking regularly. All right, let's talk about 10,000 steps a day a minute, okay? Do we really need to get to 10,000 steps a day? We've all heard that 10,000 steps a day is the pinnacle, it's the goal, it's what we should all be striving for. Well, in past lessons and lives, I've discussed this, and I've discussed in those lives and lessons that this benchmark of 10,000 steps a day is not actually based on science so much, but it was created in the 60s as a marketing tactic by a Japanese company making what? Making what? Pedometers. Making pedometers, right? So, I'm very much not against striving for 10,000 steps a day. If that's your goal and you want to go for it, I'm all in with you. 100% behind you with it. Let's go. Just know this. The average number of steps for an American, daily steps for an American, is about 4,800 steps a day. So is there really any science to stepping it up beyond the 5,000 steps a day, which is kind of the average for Americans? I'm going to say it's probably more like 3,000 to 5,000. Sometimes the research is a little bit behind. But anywhere, right in there. Is there any science for stepping up the walking to get closer to the 10,000? Generally, yes, up to a point. Research finds that All the health and longevity benefits increase up to about 7,000 or 8,000 steps a day. Beyond that, the benefits are not markedly better or anything better that will stand out in research once you get past about 7,000 or 8,000 steps a day. What I've taught for years now, because time is so precious and none of us gets more than 24 hours in a day, and most of us feel pressured for time in one way, shape, form, or another, some more than others. And what I've taught for years now is that once you hit about 6,000 steps a day, if you have to choose, because of time, if you have to choose between walking another 4,000 steps, which by the way, which gets you to those 10,000 steps, the 4,000 extra steps is about 2 miles. It's about 2,000 steps a mile, varying depending on height of the person and everything else, but about 2,000 steps a mile. And to get those extra 4,000 steps in, that's about a 45-minute walk at 3 miles an hour. Okay? So if you have the choice and you've got 6,000 steps in between going another 4,000, and time is crunched, time is very, very precious. If that's the case, I'd rather you prep the food than go the extra 4,000 steps. I'd rather you take the time, 45 minutes, that's a decent amount of time for food prep. I'd rather you take the 45 minutes, because a lot of times the 10,000 steps goal is daily. If you dedicated 45 minutes to food prep, holy moly, daily? Anyway, anytime you can do it, anything's better than nothing, right? So 4,000 steps instead of that, once you've got 6,000 in, if time is of the essence, time is really, really precious, then I recommend that you spend the time doing food prep. You're going to get a much, much bigger return on your investment of time, especially when you are in action and in fat loss action mode. Use the 45 minutes for food prep instead of walking, if it's a choice and you're in action for sure. Okay. So I said I wanted to answer at the top of this. I said I wanted to answer 4 questions. How'd I do? So question 1 was, what are activities of daily living? Simple, quick answer is fundamental skills required for independently caring for oneself. Fundamental skills required to independently care for yourself. Number 2, what is exercise? Well, it's activity requiring physical effort, carried out, this is where intent comes in for exercise, carried out to sustain or improve health and fitness. So, the incidental walking you do at work would not so much be considered exercise. It is activity. It does burn more calories than sitting or standing, right? Or lying. But it wouldn't really be considered exercise 99% of the time, because it isn't really being done with that intent for the purpose of improving health and fitness. So that's a distinction when it comes to exercise, which is one of the reasons when it comes to logging exercise on campus, I ask you all to, as much as you possibly can, be conservative and only log the exercise, not all physical activity that you do in a day. Okay? Third question, is walking exercise? It depends, but it certainly can be, and most certainly is if it's sustained at a moderate intensity, probably in that 3 to 4 miles per hour pace. And again, maybe slower to qualify as moderate if you're out of shape, very deconditioned, and maybe at a faster pace to qualify as moderate if you're in really great shape already. And then the fourth thing was, what good is walking? What good is it? Gee, I don't know. Let's see. Boosts energy levels. It's low impact, so it has less strain on joints. Reduces the risk of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes. Lowers the risk of cardiovascular disease. Helps control blood glucose and improves insulin sensitivity for diabetes management. Aids in weight control and reduces body weight, body mass index, waist circumference, and fat mass. Improves sleep quality, sleep duration, and time to fall asleep. People fall asleep faster when they do it. Has a positive effect on mental health, particularly depression, anxiety, stress, and loneliness. Reduces the risk of early death from chronic diseases like heart disease and certain cancers. Ever since I started being a coach, especially online, so that's since 1999, currently 25 years and going, I've always discussed positively when it comes to walking. I've promoted walking and discussed it in a very positive way. But I'm going to say, Coach David at age 59, compared to Coach David at 34, believes much more strongly in the benefits of walking. I would say, while there haven't been dozens of, say, large-scale fundamental shifts in what I believe when it comes to the transformation journey, because I don't generally just blow with the wind and whatever the latest, gimmick is, the latest trend and all that kind of stuff. I kind of stick with the basics and the core and the fundamentals. But I do have some things that I feel very different about now compared to when I was in my 20s, 30s, or whatever. And walking, while I was always positive, I feel much, much, much more positive about it now than I did 25 years ago. And even more so when possible, walking outside, in the daylight, in nature, when possible. One of the things that shifted it for me was a while back, Mary's role, COVID and various things, Mary's role and all of that shifted, and she was able to work remotely for a bit. So we were able to spend some extended periods of time in warmer climates in the South during the cold, harsh winters that we normally get here in Illinois. And this is just one of the things that shifted it, but it really, really just was kind of like, oh, this is it. And we were able to do 5-6 walks a day. Maybe not long ones, but we were able to do a morning walk, sunlight, afternoon, sunlight, near sundown, sunset. And it was truly so much better than in Illinois winter, where you either can't walk outside or you've got to bundle up unbelievably, and you're just less likely to do it in the amount and the frequency, because it's cold. It's harsh at times. So you can walk inside, you can do this and that. But being able to walk outside with the frequency and the duration that we were able to do it was, I would say, the thing that just pushed me over the edge. And I was like, oh, because we both noticed just such a positive impact on our mood, our mindset, mental health. It also seemed like it was, it's not a miracle, but it felt like, a caloric miracle. We were just so much more active just in walking that it was more forgiving on what we could eat. It wasn't like you couldn't eat with abandon. It was still all LOU. It was still NFL 15 principles, right? The 15 fundamentals. It was all still there. But the portion size could be a bit more. The serving size could be a bit more. You could have a bigger portion and you'd be like, body fat is lower, if anything else, not higher. And so there were benefits there too. But that was secondary to the physical, mental benefits. Plus, if you can do it with someone else, walk and talks are just really, really nice. It's a really, really great way to spend some time together, kind of disconnect from the digital verse, and get some really, really quality time. If you can do it with someone else. What it does for the body, the calorie burn, great, nice benefits, but what it can do for our headspace, that all too important mental health aspect area, I just believe more strongly that we all need to protect our mental health as much as possible now. We always have, but I'm going to say in 2024, even more so now than maybe we ever have. All right, so that's it. That wraps up this week's State of Fitness. Until next time, let's focus on what we want. Let's be grateful for what we already have. And remember, it's all happening perfectly. Bye-bye for now.